Alright, let's talk about item number 1, the Eagle Eye Goggles. And this is the start of a new series where I explore each item in a reasonable amount of detail to help you decide what really makes sense for your current build, your current class, your current group. Make sure and comment below. Let me know if this is something you're interested in. I won't go through every single item if everybody hates these videos. It's going to be like, okay, well, let's do something else. But if people are interested in hearing my thoughts on each item, make sure and comment below. Let me know whether you want to hear about these, hear about each item or not. So the Eagle Eye Goggles, they're a beginner item, and we're going to talk about really what makes them great, what they're bad at, which classes they work with. And this will be the general theme for each item, is just to explore kind of how it works. Is it good for Prosperity 1? Is the item good for Prosperity 1? Or does it suck for Prosperity 1? Is it so good that it's good for any Prosperity level? Or maybe it's only good up until mid-Prosperity level. I am saying Prosperity a lot. But you get the point. We're going to talk about how each item works, what builds it works for best, and just have, a reasonably in-depth discussion. I don't want these videos to go, more than like 10 or 12 minutes probably at the outside. So I won't go like way down the rabbit hole, but just talk about basically how they work and what makes sense for them. Okay, let's get started. What is good about the Eagle Eye Goggles? So the Eagle Eye Goggles excel in a couple of different situations. First is you have to make the distinction between attack action and attack. So Eagle Eye Goggles apply to an attack action. That is an attack that is half of a card. So for example, if you are using Dirt Tornado with the Cragheart and you use your Eagle Eye Goggles, you get to have an advantage on every single monster you hit within that AoE. So if you're going against 6 monsters, and this is with no rolling modifiers, you hit 6 monsters with Dirt Tornado, you are pulling 12 modifier cards, 2 for each one. And that's if there's absolutely no rolling. Can be even more. So, very powerful for AoE attacks. Any class that's using a lot of AoEs, you're going to want to have Eagle Eye Goggles probably up till mid-Prosperity level. Prosperity 4 or 5, somewhere in that range. And then, there starts to be a lot more competition for head slot. And you may want to use something else. And it also depends on the build too, right? If you're using a bunch of repeatable single or maybe 2 target attacks, you're probably not going to want the Eagle Eye Goggles. They're also really good for classes that need to use a big loss to generate a massive attack against a single target. And you can't afford to, synergize some items and play a lost card and then whiff on it. And so you play the Eagle Eye Goggles to take that risk out of the equation. This is really good for something like the Brute's Devastating Hack, which is an attack 8 loss. Or it's really good for a class, no spoilers here, but it helps with the Lightning Bolt class. I don't want to say any more than that because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But it's really good for those 2 situations. And so it's really good for like the Spellweaver and the Cragheart. It's good for the Tinkerer. It's really good for all the starting classes, but it's best for Spellweaver, Tinkerer, and Cragheart. And then it's good for the Brute, and it's good for the Mind Thief, and it's good for the Scoundrel if you're doing something like a Smoke Bomb combo. So really it works well. To me, it's much better than the Iron Helmet. Don't forget this, if you're a new player, damage is king in Gloomhaven. Dealing direct damage at the time you need it, when you want to, not delaying it, and not doing other effects is the number 1 strategy to destroying scenarios in Gloomhaven. Much better to just kill the monster and then it doesn't attack. Then the monster can't pull a ×2 on you. But there's only 2 Eagle Eye Goggles, so if you're playing with a 4-player party, in a 4-player party, you aren't necessarily always getting it. So early levels, Eagle Eye Goggles are the best item for the head slot at lower Prosperity levels. They're going to output a serious amount of damage because they're only a spend item. If you can use these 3 or 4 times, and let's say it's an AoE or a multi-target attack like Fire Orbs, having advantage on every one of those attacks is easily worth +3 damage per time. If you can long rest 4 times in a scenario, the Eagle Eye Goggles are going to be worth 12 plus damage. That is definitely going to be worth it. It is going to vastly outperform anything the Iron Helmet can do for you. Now, the Iron Helmet still can be useful for, classes that are up front and up close and personal, attacking at melee range. So just make sure you're talking about that within your party. But if you can get the Eagle Eye Goggles with a starting class, it's going to give you an advantage over the other players. And I mean, you are a bunch of mercenaries. It's a cooperative game with a little bit of cutthroat stuff, right? And so, I mean, I like trying to get an advantage. So yeah, that's what they're good at. And let's talk about maybe where they don't work, or, where they're maybe not as good. Once you get to middle prosperity levels, there is a lot of competition for the head slot. And once you're to that prosperity level 2, you may be doing some other fringe build type of stuff, right? And so you may want to use another item. So they do start running out of steam mid 4 or 5 plus prosperity once you've unlocked a bunch of classes and worked your way through the game. That being said, they're always going to be a good item. Always, no matter what. With almost any class, with some, small exceptions, but they're always going to be solid. So it's not like you can go wrong. So they're definitely worth the 30 gold. Always going to be worth the 30 gold. So what other things are bad? Well, they don't interact well with rolling modifiers. And this goes for anything that grants you advantage. And so just be careful. Make sure you don't have a bunch of rolling modifiers, because what happens is, you roll, and you can roll into a miss. And if you roll into a miss, you miss. And so if you're using the Brute's Devastating Hack, then you're going to roll into a miss. And the point of using the goggles was to not miss on your big loss card attack that you can't afford to miss on. So yeah, rolling modifiers and goggles, if you're using the goggles a lot and they're a big part of your strategy, just so you can't miss, you might not want to use them. Not as big of an effect. If you're hitting 6 targets and you roll into a miss with an AoE, it's not as bad as, relying on those big loss attacks. So are they worth it? Yes, they are. I always use the Eagle Eye Goggles. They're one of the best level 1 items, if not the best. Like for prosperity level 1, I always used them. You can get a ton of extra damage. My first class was the Spellweaver, and I took him right away, and I never let him go. And I played the Spellweaver a second time, and I used him there as well. So if you can get your hands on them, yes, they cost a lot more than the Iron Helmet, but they're a heck of a lot better. So it's really going to help you with your power. I mean, if you can get them, get them. I hope you enjoyed my discussion on the Eagle Eye Goggles. It is the first of the series. I'll be working on the exact format. Let me know if you think I missed anything. Like if there's any categories that you would like me to cover that I didn't cover in this video, make sure and comment below so that as I do these videos, I can get better and better at them. Every time you're doing something new, it may not be, the best it can be. So yeah, make sure. I read every single comment pretty much, and I respond to the vast majority of them. So make sure that if you have thoughts, you comment below. And thank you so much for watching. And also a special thank you to my subscribers. I couldn't do it without you.